Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Mark Lotta. I'm a saxophonist in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I've been playing professionally here since 2004. Before that, I went to University of North Texas with Mr. Sawyer. That's where I met him. So I thought that it would be really good for me to show you from step one to the very end how I work on a tune.
Okay, so let's learn a tune. Autumn Leaves by Cosma and Mercer. Approaching jazz improvisation, whether you're getting better at it or just first learning how to do it, is much like learning how to speak a language for the first time. If you're first starting to learn this language, the people that are around you are still students. So you got to find a way that you're speaking with professional improvisers so that you can advance to a professional level. So how do you do that? Since you can't be around pros all the time, well, you find recordings of pros speaking this language and you try to make yourself sound like them. You do that by transcribing a pro. Just start with a chorus. If you're trying to tackle an entire solo that's really intimidating, that might not be the best place to start. You want to try to find a solo that is accessible. In other words, it's not too hard, and you can and you learn maybe just one chorus one time through the changes of Autumn Leaves. And do your best not to write it down. If you're really trying to get this language learned, you've got to memorize those words and you got to memorize the way that you use them in phrases and sentences. So you got to find a recording. Is it the tune that you're working on? Like, we're going to work on Autumn Leaves, so the best way to do it would be to find a good recording of somebody playing a solo on Autumn Leaves that you can learn and see how they're improvising on it, how they're speaking the language. Is it the same key? If you look on YouTube, you'll see that there is actually a lot of different instances of people playing Autumn Leaves that are not in the same key. This is where Audacity is going to come into play for the first time. So now I'm going to go to Audacity, which I've already downloaded a while back because I use it a lot. And I'm going to open this up. And through Audacity, I'm going to find the MP3 that I just downloaded, which I converted from YouTube. And I'm going to open it up here. And I'm not going to do the transcription here for you right now, but I think that this is a really important thing to know, is that once you use this program, it makes your life a lot easier in transcribing, where you can pinpoint a place and just listen to that one part. Da 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 da. Figure that out on your horn. Ba 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 da ba da ba da, and you just figure it out a few notes at a time, and you just piece it together until you can play a whole chorus. So you're transcribing, and maybe you don't finish the whole thing before you move on to learning the tune itself, but maybe you're doing it at the same time, like you do a little bit of the transcription, and then you go to understanding these words and to create your phrases by memorizing with the metronome the melody, the chords, and the scales. The melody itself, it can get kind of distorted when you hear professionals play it because they mess around with the melody and you're not sure what the original melody is actually supposed to sound like. I think the best resource that you can use is the Jamie Aebersol series. I would use written music for the melody if you can, just because you can make it more accurate. And the first thing that you do is you turn on your metronome on 2 and 4, half note equals 70, and just memorize this melody. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on. Typically, as a horn player, I'm going to be playing the melody, the lead line, unless there's a vocalist. So I need to know these melodies. I need to know Autumn Leaves and how to play the melody. And then you go on to the next step, which is actually to memorize the chords. These are the chords that the piano player or the guitar player are playing. You can see by my graphic that the open notes are not really supposed to be whole notes. They're just open chord notes. And then next to them, each of them is the outline of those. I'm going to now go through this form and I'm going to outline each one of these chords for a couple of reasons. I want to know where I am in the form while I'm making up my solo, and the best way to do that is if I have this really good picture and imagination of the chords as they're going by. Now, I have just dots, so I'm going to start out by just doing eighth notes, and I'll do that all the way through, like this. Okay, and you heard me flub a couple times, but that's when I would go back and I'd make sure I can do it right and not looking at the paper anymore. I know it by heart, I know it by memory. Logical next steps would be to not build the chords from the bottom up, but build those chords from the top down so that you're not always thinking about your improvised melodies starting on the roots all the time. And then your next step is to do some sort of scale exercise. You can see the open notes on this page are the chord tones. The same thing that you just outlined, but now we need to fill in the space between the chord tones. We need to connect those chord tones in a scale or in a melody. I want you to notice that the first chord, I don't have any accidentals. I'm just talking about this alto key, but it's going to translate to any of your all's instruments. This key has a single sharp, no accidentals. Then when I move on to D, again, my starting note is the first note of the chord, and here's my chord tones, but then I've also filled them in with these black notes. I haven't changed keys at all. I'm still in the same key, I'm just starting on different notes. Then I go to G. Again, same key, starting on G. Same thing with C. Then I move on to F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Then I go to B7 flat 9. And then I go to E minor. Now, even though these have these crazy names, I'm still really close to my key signature, and the only thing that's changed is I have an accidental. The only thing that's not in the key is this set right here, these two changes. I've added this D sharp, which is not a big thing in this chord. It's not a chord tone, but in this chord, it's really important because it is a chord tone. This trick is that if you're playing a half diminished chord to a flat 9 to a minor chord, a minor 2-5, you can use the harmonic minor scale of this goal chord. When I see this, I always use E harmonic minor scale. And of course, if you're in concert pitch, that would be a G minor, and you'd use your G harmonic minor scale. When I'm playing my solo through here, I'm thinking focus on chord tones in these different chords, which I'd memorized already, but I'm staying in the key. When I get to this 2-5, I'm thinking E harmonic minor scale, and I land back to my E in the key signature, right? Knowing that stuff is going to help me later on when I'm actually improvising using these scales, but you got to get used to the way they sound and feel. Even though there's no sort of rhythms, I may use a type of eighth note run to help me figure out the scale. Like then you begin to memorize it. Again, to help you with your melodies so you're not always starting your melodies on roots, start on the top and work your way down. So the next step is to practice playing solos with just the metronome. You stop when you play something that you don't like. If something doesn't sound good, then you can stop and practice that thing immediately. And your goal is to make it sound like you can hear the chord changes moving in time at the right time. Hopefully you could hear the changes going by and hear that I was staying with the changes even though I didn't have a play along or a rhythm section behind me to help that. That really holds me accountable. That makes it so that I have to know the changes. I have to know where I am, and that makes you sound much better as a player. These are the steps that I take when I'm learning a tune, and you can never know enough of them. The more tunes that you know that you can recall from memory, the better. And you'll never stop learning them. So keep up the good works, even if you're just starting or if you've already started on this process. I hope this helped you out to help you get a little bit better. Please feel free to contact me via my email address. It's mark.lotta@risd.org. I also have a YouTube channel that you can subscribe to that has different examples of me playing along with some difficult solos, along with some recordings of me playing live with my own jazz group. Again, my name is Mark Lotta. I hope you guys have an excellent year, and thanks to Mr. Sawyer for inviting me to make this video. You guys take care.